call, V Shamin roll, FIE's Junkanoo Rush. Feel it in your belly, folks. I am here tonight along with my co-host, Mr. Kevin Paparazzi Cooper, and my producer, Miss Brighton Roll. And tonight's show is all about a tribute to a legend of our time, Mr. Slimey Thompson, Phillip Doc Slimey Thompson. He got a couple nicknames, folks. So tonight is all about a celebration. We're gonna talk to Slimey. We're gonna show some tributes to him throughout the years. We're gonna have some photography and some videos talking about Doc and his life in Junkanoo. Papa, what's happening?
All is well, Glad to be here.
Right. And tonight, folks, also we celebrate my twins' birthday. He is 50 today. I ain't call the age, but he ain't lucky age. But FIE's Junkanoo Rush is coming his residence tonight. I'm not on the outside, so if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, we got Junkanoo people in and out. They've been coming to him from about 5 o'clock this morning, and we're going to conclude at 10, just bringing him well wishes and prosperity and good life. So yes, folks. So Papa,
Hey.
we got any new the Junkanoo world? How's the Junkanoo world doing? Look like everybody from the Junkanoo world being in and out of here today. I was happy to see so much persons I haven't seen in ages.
I have to ask you. I have no junk from this side.
Well, I know.
Everybody,
Go ahead.
I was saying everybody else was basically glad to get a little rush in last week. Slimy. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, if we're going to have another opportunity to rush in 2020 or not. It was interesting. What your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, a lot of things was floating around, talking there was going to be a rush. We were never really sure if they was going to rush or what, but they rush at a point. A lot of people tell me they was looking for me. I was there in and out. I was trying to keep my safe. I poke you at 1 minute I was passing through. I had my mask on, my shades on, my hair tie up. So I wasn't that recognizable, but I can tell you one thing, Papa. Boy, when I hear that music, my Lord, I had one pounding in my chest. I was on the side of the road dancing, and then I find myself to the graveyard, inside the graveyard, and trying to get some footage, because, me and you, we always working. We don't get to really enjoy it as much as other persons. But, the turnout was pretty good. Saxons came out in full force. We talk about the protocols of in Junkanoo. There definitely is no social distance. There's no social distance. And, so I was torn between them being there. I wanted to see Doc get his good props and go down in good style. And, it was time to touch the road. But, I've been hearing a lot of things, a lot of persons were talking about it, saying it was it was not a good idea. How do you feel about that?
We are in a pandemic. I think they could have done a little better in managing the social distance. I think it can. It can be done, but then that wasn't the right place for it to happen, because that was an emotional event, and where it hadn't happened in such a long time. But I think Germany can go on with social distancing. Marching bands do it. Everybody say Junkanoo's not a marching band, but we have to play for the times, and if you have to be 6 feet or roughly a meter away from the next person, I think it can be done.
I know. I noticed that there were not many masks worn. There were not many masks worn at all. But when you had a few drunk people ringing the bells and all of that.
Right.
It wasn't really too safe there.
Right. Of course, the brass wouldn't be wearing a mask.
No.
I was wearing my mask straight through. But a lot of the spectators and a lot of people who were out front were wearing masks. I think it's sort of funny and weird all at the same time, because As I was going through my archive, because I was trying to organize my archive during this slow period, this lockdown period, how many people were actually wearing masks before COVID-19 to Junkanoo events? We had one family, entire choreograph section had their face covered at one time for, I think, for Independence or Side Parade. And then at randomly I'd see one family when they came, I think Toys or one of those children theme, their face was covered, the whole back line face was covered. So and then I see people in practices using masks, like the endurance masks to practice. So is it like a catch-22? Some people just not comfortable wearing masks and some others are. Um, I don't know what the future will hold in terms of how long we're going to be COVID or pro-COVID environment, or are we going to find a cure or a vaccine or whatever the case may be, or but at some point, um, you got to live your life. You have to do something. You just can't keep running away, hiding. That's not going to work.
We need to work out somewhere where it could be done. But remember now, each group has proper 6 to 700 persons. So we talked about it. If you line up a group on Bay Street and do the social distancing, you'll reach almost round to the back to the point. If you line up one group, if you say they're in the gate, you see
I
the
I, un-
distance?
I understand that, but technically, you would know this number better than I would. Do we really have um 400 or 500 participants, or we have 400 or 500 people on Bay Street with a particular group?
Well,
That's the
well,
that's the, and what's basically gonna have to happen is if we do talk about having Junkanoo, it's gonna have to be like a select group of individuals. It can't be the entire group. It's just virtually, like you say, it's virtually impossible to do it.
well, when you think about it, if you count the front line, and then one of the talks we always talk about is uh, people performing in the front without music. So you could imagine social distancing at a point 3 to 6 feet apart. When the group spread out, you will never hear the music in the front.
That's why I said
That
we'd
would
have
be a
to.
no-no.
That's why we'd have to have a select group. Like maybe you have to cut the groups down to like maybe 150 persons as opposed to 300, and have a cap as opposed to a bottom limit. Have a cap limit, whereas only 150 persons are allowed to perform for each group. Because if you're talking about everybody from the group, like you said, that would be difficult.
Right, right. It would be
And,
difficult.
and 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 my personal opinion, I know a lot of people may not agree with me. My personal opinion is this: the groups that are smaller tend to perform better and give you a better junk performance. I.e., one family with a small back line. I know they don't like to get called a small back line. Their back line isn't as big as some other groups. And another example would be colors. I think that's the perfect size for
Right, right.
all junk groups. It's my personal opinion now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to see how that works. So now
Yeah.
we're gonna we tribute to Slimy. We have a video that was put together by Stephen Gay um, from Junkanoo Rush, some of the production that we did in our series of 2015 when we were on NB12. And folks, tonight, actually October the 2nd, Junkanoo Rush celebrated 5 years. It's being established 5 years. So we celebrated October the 2nd, 5 years, the television show. And from there, we went into radio, and then we finally ended up here on Facebook with the live. So I was able to contact Stephen, and Stephen put together something really nice. And so we would want to play that for you to see the tribute that FIE's Junkanoo Rush has for Mr. Slimey Thompson. Here we go, folks. Each year, the National Junkanoo Legend Circle's official induction ceremony is hosted by the National Junkanoo Committee and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture to honor pioneers of Junkanoo who have contributed to the advancement of this form of cultural expression. This year's ceremony highlighted more than 20 honorees in the Grand Ballroom at Government House back on December the 15th. And folks, we can tell you that there wasn't an empty seat left. I mean, the place was jam-packed with family members and the Junkanoo community in full support of those persons being recognized for their good work. Let's meet the 2015 honorees.
Our first honoree, Sir Lyndon Penley, is known by all Bahamians as the father of the nation. In the world of Junkanoo, Sir Lyndon was the pioneer of social change after majority rule in the Bahamas. Sir Lyndon, as Premier and then Prime Minister, could be seen as a participant in the Junkanoo parades, wearing his colorful striped costume and ringing his cowbells while dancing to the Junkanoo. Initially, he rushed with the group called the Pigs.
Dr. Phillip Thompson, after the formalities, the Junkanoo Rush team spoke with a few of the stars of the evening about receiving that prestigious honor and their views on Junkanoo today.
I'm honored, feel very honored after more than 40 years being in Junkanoo. Honored, humbled, and blessed. I enjoy competition. It's not all about competition, but I enjoy competition, and it's good to see other groups coming out of our organizations and evolving into strong Junkanoo entities. So I like that. I welcome the challenge. I'll be looking forward to the challenge. This goes out to the younger generation, in particular the young men. There's so much involved in violence and all that. We need to see an end to that. We need our young men and their young women to concentrate more on educating themselves, preparing themselves for the future, and the conflict resolution, that is something we have to deal with too.
There you have it, folks. FIE's Junkanoo Rush tribute to one Mr. Slimey Thompson. Now, folks, I'm going to give you a little bit of read a little bit about Slimey from his obituary. On April 13, 1948, I got so much messages coming in here. In the afternoon on Market Street, a beautiful baby boy was born to William Edward and Kashina Corrine Thompson. He was named Philip Wellington and was welcomed with suspicious love by all the family. He was a great joy to his brothers Willie and Arthur, and not expected he was almost 13 years younger than Arthur. The Thompson household included grandmother Maud Harriet, who almost everyone called Aunt Maud, and niece cousin by the name of Mary Strawn, the sister of the late Canon Dudley Strawn. And Maud, or Mama to her grandchildren, was one of the 6 devout sisters from Rumkey, and she had a special love for her grandson, who, as he grew, she shared many stories concerning the DeVoe family of San Salvador. Her father, Moses Nathaniel DeVoe, had moved to Rumkey in order to purchase his own estate separate from those of his siblings on Cat Island. The estate abounded with cattle, pineapples, which was exported American crossland. Rumkey earned income from its inhabitants from its pineapple crops and industrial salt. However, a worldwide recession brought this to a halt, and living was changed. A consciousness of our history influenced the lives of descendants of Moses DeVoe, who were taught that you were no better than anyone. No one was better than you. Maud never allowed her grandchildren to forget the former glory of Rumkey, On his mother's side, Philip is related to the Browns and the Hutchisons and had relationship with many of his cousins. On the early death of Philip's father, who died in the late 40s, Philip was about 10 years old, was concerned about becoming a doctor. He was assured that his dreams would be realized, and he resumed playing with his friend Gerald Sawyers and his cousin Jerry Hutchison, who assisted him in performing surgical operations in the backyard on lizards. Philip could be described as a Renaissance man. He loved the finer things of God. So, folks, that's a piece of Slimy's obituary. So it entails, show that he knew within himself that he was going to be a doctor, playing with lizards and doing surgical procedures on lizards in the backyard. So there you have it, folks. One of our one tribute that we have for Mr. Slimy Doc Thompson. And I have heard, Papa, I've heard so much things about Slimy since his death, about so many lives he touched. We reached out to a few persons from the Park Boys to come on board, but everybody's schedule seemed to be conflicting. And so we decided that we would still go ahead and honor Slimy tonight. So, Papa, we got to talk about the good old days with the Saxons from Mason's edition, of all the other persons in that particular area, the Park Boys. I know Air and Greg, and they told me Bartlett and a couple of other names, persons called from the Park Boys within that area. But I understand the shop was right across from the park where they now have that memorial to him.
Yeah, the shack. Yeah, that was the shack. The shack was very close. I always remember that shack was so close to the road. Um, I didn't know Slimy intimately enough to talk about him. I know him from a Junkanoo perspective, being a builder and the co-leader of the Saxon Superstars, and on Bay Street. He was a very good friend of my dad's. My father grew up in St. Agnes Church. Well, actually, he didn't actually grow up in St. Agnes Church, but his dad was actually in the church at one time. Um, somehow they had a relationship in childhood, but I don't know the real story behind it to speak on that. Um, I don't know. That's basically it from my side, unfortunately.
Well, I know I had spoke to a couple of persons who told me that they came in contact with him when he was a doctor, and they never really met anybody like Slimy, because at one person I talked to somebody who said they didn't have enough money to do their surgery, and their surgery thousands of dollars. And Slimy just told them, say, listen, just bring whatever you have, and we can work with whatever you have. And when they told me that he didn't even really know them like that. He just was that type of person that any way that he would able to was able to help you, he would have helped you.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And so when I heard that, he reminded me of a few other persons that I know in the Junkanoo world who always assist persons without even want to be having their names called. That kind of way. And you have persons like that throughout the Junkanoo world who just want to be there to help you with, without their names being out there, which is a good thing, because sometimes in the Junkanoo world we tend to lean towards a lot of clicks here, then everywhere. But you have persons who truly believe in the passion of Junkanoo itself when it comes to just being there and supported. And one of those persons is Mr. Ed Maxey. We're gonna have him on one of our shows to talk about this Junkanoo, because he's a very good historian when it comes to Junkanoo. He called yesterday and told me yesterday would have made Chippy Chipmunk 90 years old. So also we say happy birthday in heaven to John Chippy Chipman. He would have been 93 years old yesterday if he was still alive.
Wow.
And so, we have so much persons in Junkanoo. that were never really recognized. A lot has passed. And so, I've heard a lot of people ask the question, how do we pick, what do you call a legend of Junkanoo? What is your definition of a legend of Junkanoo?
My definition of the legend of Junkanoo? Legend isn't necessarily. I don't count. I don't see. Some people start counting legends after a certain period of time or how many years you participated. But the funny thing about that part of picking a legend from a yearly perspective of how many years you've been involved with something is that a lot of those persons stopped or retired from that particular event, and you still would count the years after as part of the years they participated in whatever event or activity it is. So for me, is your contribution to whatever craft it is, and what you did or how you contributed during that period to make that craft event festival better. That's what I consider to be a legend. I've seen some people who've been in jungle less than 10 years and made such a valuable contribution. I can't help but call them a legend. Um, I've seen other people who just they've been in jungle probably 30, 40 years. I would say 30 or 40 years, but they actively stopped participating in jungle 20 years ago. Are we still counting it as yes, as being involved in jungle? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. But I feel like with Junkanoo, seriously, with being a legend, the contributions, you have so many persons that contribute not only to the aspect of it going on Bay Street, but also contribute to the community and the well-being of persons that's coming up in the Junkanoo world.
Correct.
You understand? And so when we talk about legends, we not only talking about persons who been on Bay Street and Rush, we're talking about persons who made a lot of community effort in it outside. Because we have this thing that we also say bigger than Bay. It's not always just about what happens on Bay Street. It's also that what you do outside of the Junkanoo world. One of the things I talked about when we did the, and we're going to continue on with the legends of our time. Junkanoo, we're going to pick that back up in December. Boo and I, we would go sessions with that. And one of the things that we looked at, we were looking at the NJC list and the NPD list, and we were picking out some persons from that. And a lot of persons seem to be falling between the cracks. I know when I look at the legends list, we have like over 300 men. And in that list there, if you have 100 women, you have a handful. And then we have so many women over the years. Back then Junkanoo wasn't really a woman thing. But you have so much women from back then over the past 20, 30 years who have been generally involved in the Junkanoo groups, getting them to be and still doing a lot of community efforts. Um, Not only in New Providence, but also in the Family Islands. And that's how come some of the legends that we put up the other day from Eleuthera, some were from Freeport, some were from Abaco. So we did a research where we found out not just persons, and we have a lot of women in Nassau too that really are legends. Now the only thing is when you're reaching out to a lot of persons, Papa, people when we were going through this pandemic, a lot of persons when you reach out to them say yeah, 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 but you can only go so far in getting people information if they don't get it to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you show to people and you expect them to get back to you with some of the information and stuff. And we know we've been going through a pandemic. Sorry, we know a lot of persons are being busy, but we just have so many persons out there who we don't even have to call them legends as such. They're just great contributors to Junkanoo that we see happen every year that we have on Bay Street. That's one of the reasons I started the series, the Unsung Heroes series, where I went into all of the different shocks and were able to interview so many persons that you don't get to see that make this thing what we see on Bay Street happen.
Yeah, I like that series, especially because a lot of have stories that's never been told. And when I was going through my archive the other day, I was shocked to see how many funerals that we had over the years. Um, we put some real good Junkanoo's to rest. Um, so just imagine all those stories that really hadn't had an opportunity to be told, other than a one-page obituary, which more than half of that page is taken up by relatives and friends, as opposed to who that person actually is and what it's all about.
And folks, just to add to that, Papa, could you speak to what you're doing now in terms of if persons want to get their like a collage of themselves with the pictures and stuff? Could you speak to that?
Okay. Well, as we've been locked down and not locked down and restricted, I've had an opportunity to really organize my archive in terms of putting some structure behind it and actually finding particular photographs of particular individuals, because a lot of people ask me for, since I started, they want all their pictures. I want all my pictures, and I never had an opportunity to really sort my archive out to do that. But thanks to COVID-19, um, I had an opportunity to go through, and I picked out the particular people who were always asking me for their photographs, and I was able to put them in particular files. So now I have it sort of structured where I should be able to find most pictures within 7 to 14 days. Um, so we decided to sell each one of those files for $100. Some of them contain more than 100 photographs. Majority of them contain between, let's say, 75 and maybe 125 to 150 photographs, and I'm letting all those go for $100. So that's basically that's like selling them for like $1.25, $1.50 a piece, which is like unheard of in the world. So if anybody's interested, they can hit me up at I prefer WhatsApp, so I can have a actual message or a written message, so I could actually get back to you. My phone contact is 395-9528. My email address is junkanoopaparazzi@gmail.com. Um, yeah, $100 for all your Junkanoo pictures. I don't think that's a bad deal at all, especially in this COVID environment and everybody with strained resources. So if you're interested, just give me a call or email me, or even hit paparazzi or Junkanoo paparazzi, and I'll get back to you. Um, yeah, sure. I mean, I was struggling with this for a while, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my archive, and because I had the website at one time, and I actually started a second website, and because of COVID, what really happened is a lot of people would go on the website, like the picture, screenshot the picture, take the picture, which I had no problems with, um, but then they'd ask me to give them all their pictures, and I'd ask them, okay, what year and what number, and they wouldn't know. So I still have to go and do the research. So COVID-19 gave me the opportunity to do that. So $100, and you get all your Junkanoo photographs. There are a few exceptions. I think I have like about 10 individuals who have like 400 or 500 photographs of over the years. So the price probably will be a little higher for them. But yeah, $100 is the price.
Well, folks, that's a great price for over 100 pictures. That's a wonderful price, and then you get to see. I know you did a little video collage for me. That was like when I looked at those pictures. Some of those pictures were when I was in charge of now doing media work. So that was a good little. I think it was like 2 minutes and 49 seconds, and I know you had way more pictures than that. Because I remember every time I turned around, you used to be snapping.
Yeah.
So that's folks. If that's a wonderful deal, that's an excellent deal. You know,
Michelle,
if you're interested in seeing yourself,
and here's the
go
crazy
ahead.
It's not the slideshow I'm selling for $100. I'm giving you all of your individual pictures for $100.
Now that'd be like on a jump drive then.
Well, it's two options. It could go to jump drive, but then you have to pay for the jump drive. That'll be additional. Or I could send you all your files through a what's it called? We transfer. There's a particular program I could just send you all your files, up to 2 gigabytes or up to 1 gigabyte of photographs one time. And you just have to download them off that platform. But it's a simple process, and uh, I just gotta I I have no problems with sharing your photographs with you. That's the bottom line. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Well, see, it's good for a lot of persons too to have a something of themselves over the many years. 'Cause I was surprised. When I did see that in my box, I was like, I missed it. When I really clicked it, I didn't even look on it right away. And when I clicked it, it took me back so much years over the years in Junkanoo. I can imagine the behind the scenes photos. That's just Bay Street. That ain't all the different little off parades and different things.
Correct.
So question I have to ask you, put your when you say you could give them up to 100 pictures, those pictures would also include pictures from off parades also,
Yes, that is
correct?
correct. That's all the side parades and basically all the pictures that I can find in my archive of you is what I'm giving you for $100. Basically, up to 150 photographs. Yes, and that's inclusive of, for some people that'd be the Freeport Field, the Rush. For some people it will be Bay Street and Boxing Day only. For others it'll be Independence. So, so I basically used to cover it all. So only a few events that I actually missed. Um, but yeah, it's up to 150 photographs. And I started this in 2005, and it was just a hobby. It was just something to do. That was when digital photography was just coming around. I always remember I borrowed someone's camera when I first started this. So that should tell you how long ago it was. 2005. And the first Boxing Day parade was 2006, I think it was.
Okay.
And I'll always remember that experience. I was terrified of Bay Street. I basically was like, was stick close to the railing, didn't want to get hit, didn't want to get touched. Um, Took some terrible photographs that year. But 15 years later, you know, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy Junkanoo. That's why I do what I do. But um, yeah, that's basically the story of me in terms of my Junkanoo.
And probably
Um,
forgot the Fan Fest.
Pardon me? Yeah,
Yes.
Fan Fest is included as well. Joe Billy, all the great ones. Yeah, yeah, all the old favorite events that we used to enjoy. You can find, and one of the things that I had, but like, take for instance, of my website, the problem that I was having with that was the domain carrier, or the person who I was actually using, was saying that I had too many photographs and I was using too much storage space. They thought I was actually storing my photographs on the website as opposed to providing a service where I was allowing people to see the photographs over the years. And I just tell you, but the volume of photographs over the years. I can't tell you how much it is altogether. I know I have two. For those tech savvy people, I have 10 terabytes of photographs there, and that's quite a bit. One of these days, I'm going to actually do a countdown, and I'll let you know exactly how many there is over a period of time. But I average between 4,000 and 5,000 photographs between Boxing Day alone, and then another 5,000 probably New Year's.
Wow, that's a lot of pics.
Yeah,
That's
a
a lot
lot.
of pics. So for
All,
say
all the
if
pictures.
Say it again.
I was saying all the photographs don't normally make it.
I
Some for some reason or another, you get some blurry ones, you get some out of focus ones, you get some people in the way ones. So technically, 5,000, maybe 3,000, 4,000 photographs are usable.
Yeah. So one of the things we didn't get to talk about too, Papa. I'm not hearing anything down the pipeline in regards to a virtual Junkanoo parade to be held, or I was hearing something about a festival to be held at the stadium, like a 12 days of Christmas festival. I don't know if it's going to be held like a fair where you have one or two persons running and then rushing. Sorry. Then I saw something which was out about them going into a studio to perform 30 persons from each group, like different sections, and then put together like a production. You heard anything about that?
I've heard a little sip about something about that, but I I have reservations about the virtual, and I have reservations about the other way. We we have to move forward. Um, but I don't see the virtual or the other method you mentioned. I don't see how that benefiting uh Junkanoo as a whole. Um, I just don't see it at this time. Uh, Maybe the 30 individuals who
No,
involved will benefit.
and see when we even talk about the virtual, how do we get people to buy into that? How do we get people to? How do we make a little bit of revenue from that?
We can't figure out how to make revenue off a regular Junkanoo yet.
And that's my point.
You know what I mean?
If we can how to make revenue from the regular Junkanoo, how do we figure to make revenue? Sorry, from now the thing I saw that uh, the money total was over $500,000
What was the last part? I
in
didn't hear.
terms of being in studio.
Oh, well, someone making some money. Unfortunately, it's not the Junkanoo community as usual. Um, See, I we can't even sell the rights to Junkanoo on Bay Street. We talking about going in a studio and producing a product that only maybe 1% or less than 1% of the Junkanoo community is going to benefit from. Um, it's really rough. It's rough. It's rough for the persons who make a living off of Junkanoo this time of year. It's rough for the fellas who have contracts. Who usually have a contract for films. It's rough for the fellow who usually cut paper for lead copies. I know one fella one time ago he's cut like 500-600 sheets of paper in one Junkanoo season. That's hand cut. So it's rough for a lot of people who this time of year usually be their revenue makers. These are people we need to look out for and try to reach out to and try to help them because their resource is not there. Just like a lot of people resources aren't there anymore. But you can imagine the individuals who wait for this time of the year to actually sustain themselves for the rest of the year.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen because right now, a lot of persons are having the Junkanoo withdrawals because we're in October now. Remember, this month here is actually breast cancer awareness, and I'm wearing my shirt tonight. Breast cancer awareness because my mother passed 18 years ago from breast cancer, and so in October is my month, and I normally try to wear the pink in remembrance of her. And
Mhm.
also this month is also month because now we were being gearing up for the U parade, which
Correct.
and when the Junkanoos rush after the so we won't be able to have any of that basic this year. And the way that I see the COVID cases, I just looked at the chart right before I came on. I think it's now 4,500 and let me see what it is. It's 4,559 right now.
Yeah, it's getting to scary levels. But here's, and we lose it like maybe one person is dying a day. That's just crazy in itself. But um, I don't know what we could do moving forward. I really can't say. We sit down on the show many weeks and speculated and try to work out different scenarios for Junkanoo, but we as a country need to try to get our heads together and try to formulate a plan to get rid of this thing, because otherwise Junkanoo will really be the last of our worries.
Yeah, if you really think about it like that, and I know some fellas right now, they Junkanoo, but you
But
can't prepare for something that you know if
yeah,
like when I say it like that, I mean like you know of junk was his a full boxing day and a New Year's Day parade. And I think because this pandemic is stretching out more, I think it's the time now to go back to the basics of Junkanoo, the basic aspects of Junkanoo. Not all the tribalism, not all the rivalry, not all the competition, to get our heads together and think of a way if we should come out of this pandemic with health and strength to see another parade. I was talking to my brother on the drive here, and we talked about how this Christmas pop is going to be so different for plenty of us, because this is going to be the first time your wife will probably see you on Christmas Day, leading into the next day. You understand?
yeah,
Because like
also into the next day, yeah, because I normally disappear like the afternoon, not evening, yeah.
yeah, and so I know I don't know the last time. Well, last year I didn't do Junkanoo, but before that, I haven't been able to really celebrate a Christmas wherein I could say, don't worry about Junkanoo. I got to be on Bay Street from 7 o'clock as I do behind the scenes, and then I don't leave till the following day. And then sometime when I leave from there, I jump on a boat, go to Harbor Island, or
Yeah,
go to another island to do Junkanoo. That's been for years.
yeah.
And so we were thinking of without Junkanoo's year, experiencing Christmas in a different place, because this is one of the only times that we may be able to do it, but it may be impossible because every place could be locked down.
Well, take for instance Harbor Island. Why shouldn't Harbor Island proceed with a Junkanoo parade if they have no cases?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I got to make a call to key in and
I
make.
mean, I guess the economic side of it, yes, I can see that. But the money side of it, yes. But I mean, like you said, you go back to basics, trading pants. Let's go down the road and have some fun, man. I talk about the Family Islands, not Nassau, what is having difficulty controlling COVID cases.
No wait time soon. And you see, when I was in Freeport, I got it right before they shut down, and they had some major pieces in those shacks.
Hmm.
Some major shacks.
Well,
But like we say,
Junkanoo,
Papa,
the next Junkanoo parade to be probably the best Junkanoo parade ever. Because if these people starting a year early and have an extra year to finish, these are some spectacular costumes.
well, see, like you say, if we go back to basics and reduce the sizes of the costumes, we should be able to have something where you don't have a big parade. You got to cut your front line down. You got to cut your choreograph section, your brass down, cut all of it down. So then go
Probably don't
choosing
use the step.
who is going to,
Use the step to need costume.
yeah, the step down.
Mm-hmm. That's technically a lead costume anyway. Take up the whole road.
Yeah,
Like 5 cents. I mean,
yeah,
it
that's
is,
true.
yeah. When I first came into Junkanoo, the size of step down now with with the wheels, practically the size of the lead costumes used to be. Take a little dimensional, might be a little different, but basically that's the size of the costume right now.
Well, if we cut down, how we gonna cut down the brass?
Easy. You don't. I mean, if you got a 60-piece brass, you cut it down to 20.
Okay, so when we cut it down to 20, how we can do the social distancing?
Everybody, you don't have to. Do brass numbers have to be right next to each other to feel the music or to put the music?
Well, I know a couple of weeks ago when I think last month or not before last, when the Valley Boys had somebody died and they spaced out in the parking lot. That was just the brass section. That wasn't the back line.
Yeah, the back line was there too. The back line was behind.
Oh, okay. I ain't talking about the birthday party,
No, you don't have to
Rush.
run in the parking lot. The brass is behind the back line is behind the brass. The cowbells and the drums is behind the brass.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we still can. I don't know. I don't know because it seems like the more we head in, getting close to Christmas, it seems like we ain't coming up with no solutions. Nobody's saying nothing. It's just the same old thing.
And they predicting the situation might get a little worse because these like cold as opposed to heat, and the regular flu season is upon us as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, they take a lot into consideration too.
yeah, right. Well, it's been a good station tonight, Papa. We ain't gonna be on that long because we need to that little um that that tribute to Slimy, and then we
Right.
talked about another few. I'm here at my twins' house, and it seems like the music, as I talk, the music getting louder and louder and louder. And soon it's in the nine, and so people better be starting to clear out because I got far where I have to drive. So, is there anything we can say before we close out for the night?
From my point of view is just that don't forget $100 special for your photograph. You can reach me at 395-9528 or paparazzi@gmail.com. And change photograph that can be as quick as possible. Other than that, Shawn man, I'm done.
Okay. Other than that, okay. So let me see if Brian have any more pics, slide that we wanna show a few more pics of Slimy before we sign off. We're gonna send condolences out to his family, and we're losing so many um, we're losing so many junkaners right now, and we can't really do anything about it.
We also want to send condolences to Nisi from Texas as well, who buried him on Saturday past as well. Everybody talks so much with Slimy during this period of time, but everybody got overshadowed somewhat. And they have a wonderful tribute to her as you drive into Mason's Edition. It's right on the building in the park. So, condolences to Nisi and Scotty and the rest of the family.
Yeah, yeah, Nisi. That was some of the. I think it was Nisi, and then I think it was another fella from the Saxons.
Tickerton as well from Saxons, and also Larry, who passed away, who got buried like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so condolences to everybody.
Well, we're hoping everybody to be safe. You can see as we close out, folks, we're gonna show a few more photos of Doc Slimy Thompson. We wish to say condolences to the Shell Saxon superstars and their family, and Papa, we hope that we don't have to every time be got to be closing out talking about somebody's death. We got to start celebrating life, eh?
Yeah, I
But
agree.
just playing it in a safe manner.
Every day you got to
Safe
celebrate
manner.
life. Yep, every day.
And I looked at some of the pictures of Slimy. I remember backline. One night I was doing behind the scenes, and we came up on the Shell Saxon Superstars, their last expressions of Junkanoo. And I was having this conversation with Gola, and Slimy jumped right in and he started talking. And I was like, and who are you? He introduced himself. I said, oh, okay. But yeah, folks, so there we have it, folks. Junkanoo Rush tribute to one Mr. Phillip Slimey Thompson. We asking everybody to be safe. Stay safe. We've had a short show tonight. We just wanted to do a little contribution to the life of Doc Thompson. You be safe and happy birthday again to my 20. Someplace outside, you know, we go someplace outside having a good time. And we got somebody from every group passing through here tonight. So I get in a mask up and go outside and spend a few minutes, and I'm going to head on my journey to get home.
Okay.
So be safe until I see you again.
All right. Good night.
To my producer, Mr. Brighton Roll, and of course, my co-host, Mr. Paparazzi.
Hey.
Take care.
All right. Night.